What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked Badgers. Let's talk about the case for Bo Ryan going into that Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Is there a case against it? And the best players, in my opinion, from the Bo Ryan era. Let's talk about all of that on a fun Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Thank you so much for joining. Wherever you're going to get this, however you listen to it, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. It's the most valuable thing any of us has, and I really, truly do appreciate it. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Right now, new customers commit $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, let's get into this. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I've been kind of sick. There's been games played. There's been recruiting. There's been coaches leaving and coming. Like, for Pete's sake, just stop going to other places so I can talk about Bo Ryan for a second. Bo Ryan is, once again, on the kind of finalist list for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame out in Springfield, Mass., which would be super cool for me anyway because I'm out here. I could go to that really easily, and I would if Bo makes the cut. Let's start with what the next step is, right? So Bo Ryan is on the finalist list, and what's going to happen is a ballot, a panel of 24 call our Basketball Hall of Famers, players, coaches, administrators. This panel has to vote. If 18 of the 24 vote for Bo Ryan, he's in. That's it. That's how it works, right? Let's talk a little bit about the case for, and a little bit about maybe if you have a case against, what is it? I'm going to start with, let's start with the case against. Like, what would be the argument if you're voting, if you're on that panel, right, and you're looking at Bo Ryan's resume? What are you looking at saying? I don't know. I think the first obvious one is, right, he never won a national title at the highest level. He didn't, obviously never went to the NBA. The highest level he coached at Division I. He did not win a title at that level. Because, by the way, like, if he had, this thing would already be throw away the key. Like, he's in the Hall of Fame yesterday if he has a national title under his belt. So there are people who are going to look at that and say, you didn't win a title. You were at Wisconsin for 14 years, got to the tournament every single year, didn't get to the Final Four really right until the end, and only made one national title appearance, never won it. You never won the biggest game. Every season you had at Wisconsin ended with a loss. And that is how some people will look at it. It'll be that black and white. I think if you are making a case against Bo Ryan, that is the very first thing somebody's going to look at. Someone's going to say, someone's going to point at. They're going to say, look at a guy like Izzo's won it, and Calhoun has won multiple. And you start comparing that resume. If you're just looking bottom line national titles, a lot of the coaches, not all of them, and we're going to get to that, not all of them, which is, I think, is an important discussion that's coming up later. But a lot of the coaches in that Naismith do have at least a title under their belt, albeit at the NBA or the Division I level. I do know, listen, obviously, we all know Bo Ryan has titles, right? How much someone's going to weigh a title at a different level that is not D1, that is not NBA, I think that is probably the biggest thing someone's just going to quickly glance at and say, well, he never won a title there. What else, though? Like, what else on the Bo Ryan resume do you think could hold somebody up, right? I do think the way it ended, I don't think this should, but we know that Hall of Fame voters look at the way something ended, right? Bo Ryan retired in the middle of a year. There was a little bit of scandal right around that with listen, it's been reported there was an affair and this happened and that lady ended up suing Wisconsin. Like, it just didn't end in the cleanest way. I don't think that's really a big deal at all. I absolutely don't think that should keep him out at all, but I wonder if somebody looks at that and just like, maybe the optics of it they don't love. But honestly, I'm going to be straight with y'all. Like, that's really all I got for the case against. That's it. And it's super paper thin, in my opinion. Like, there's not a lot there. There is not a lot there. Now, you could argue he didn't produce a lot of NBA players, but I don't think that's a requisite or requirement for going to the Basketball Hall of Fame, right? Like, I don't think that's a big deal at all. So let's get into the case for now. So that's kind of, if we're trying to be honest and look at it, that's, I think, probably the case against. Let's look at the case for. right? Let's just start with the overall record of 742 and 233. That's a winning percentage of 762. Context is important here, though, right? If I just throw that number out there, he won 76% of his games. People are like, that seems really good, right, Ryan? I'm like, yeah, that seems really good. Let's talk about it. His career winning percentage is better than John Calipari, Fog Allen, Don Meyer, Lute Olson, Bruce Pearl, Eddie Sutton, Tom Izzo, Rick Pitino, Jim Calhoun, Jim Boeheim, Jay Wright, John Chaney. There's a whole lot of Hall of Famers on that list that I just read out. There are legendary coaches on that list that I just read out. Bo Ryan's career winning percentage better than all of them. There's the majority of people on that list are either in the Hall of Fame or should be, right? Nobody's going to look at that list and say, I think, in fact, every one of those guys in the Hall of Fame, guys like Izzo, guys like Calhoun, guys like Calipari. Don Meyer is a basketball legend for hoop heads. Lute Olson down at Arizona. Bo Ryan won at a higher clip than any of them. Okay, so that's 76% winning percentage. That's a big friggin' deal. How about this? Just raw wins. He's got more career wins than 13 coaches in the Hall of Fame, 13 college coaches in the Hall of Fame. Bo Ryan's got more wins than 13 of them in his career. And going back to, I told you I was going to talk about it in the previous conversation. I said he doesn't have a title at the D1 level. He's got 3 though. Like he does have 3 national titles. Those count, right? So he's got national titles, higher career winning percentage than a whole bevy of Hall of Famers, more career wins than a whole bevy of Hall of Famers, right? The case just keeps getting stronger and stronger, by the way. Let's talk about this one. At Wisconsin for 14 years, okay? 14 consecutive finishes in the top 4, in the Big Ten. That's incredible. That's a level of consistency in that span that Bo Ryan is there guiding the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team. Michigan State was great, and then they had a couple down years. Ohio State fluctuated. Indiana fluctuated. Nationally, Kentucky fluctuated. North Carolina fluctuated. All of these schools nationally are fluctuating. Empires rising and falling all around Wisconsin, and all Bo Ryan did was keep Wisconsin winning. It was incredible, the consistency he built. And yeah, there is an element of, well, did you win a title? No. There's also an element of every single year you could tune in and watch good Badgers basketball. You watch great Badgers basketball every single year. The Wisconsin sports were my metronome because my other teams were all good or terrible. Wisconsin was always good. And there is a joy in consistency, knowing you can always have a good program to look for. Bo Ryan said that. Nobody's ever going to be in the top 4 in a major conference for 14 straight years again. Like, that's like when the Braves won the NL East like 15 straight times under Bobby Cox, right? And yeah, they won 1 World Series, but it was that stretch of dominance, that consistent excellence was way more incredible than that 1 World Series. Just like this consistent stretch of almost always being one of the best teams in the Big Ten over a 14 years span. By the way, really good Big Ten. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. No one's ever going to do that again. So that's got to be one of the top bullets on the Hall of Fame resume. How about this one? 4 Big Ten titles in 14 years. Again, let's put things in context, right? He was at Wisconsin 14 years, won 4 Big Ten regular season titles. That's winning the Big Ten, the regular season Big Ten at a 28% clip. Like, basically every 3rd year you win the Big Ten over a 14-year span. That's insane, right? Tom Izzo has won it at about 34%. So not that far ahead of and again, Tom Izzo is an obvious Hall of Famer. Nobody even thinks that he's in the Hall of Fame, right? Nobody's like, oh, should he be in there? No, that's an obvious one. Bo Ryan's like right underneath that pedestal. How about this one? Gene Keady, right? The all-time legendary Purdue coach. He won the Big Ten in 24% of his seasons. So he's not even at Bo Ryan's level. By the way, he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a Hall of Famer. And that's the last point I want to talk about when we're making the case for Bo Ryan. Look at Gene Keady. Gene Keady never won a title, right? Gene Keady didn't make a Final Four, y'all. And this is not a disrespect Gene Keady show. This is a let's compare resumes. And if one's a Hall of Famer, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. If it looks like a Hall of Famer and it talks like a Hall of Famer, it's a Hall of Famer. Right? If Gene Keady's in that sucker, Bo Ryan's got to be in that sucker too. Bo Ryan has a higher career winning percentage. He's gotten to the Final Four. He won the Big Ten at a higher clip. He's a Hall of Famer. I want to come back with one more big point that I think is really important too, in terms of why you put him in now. And then I want to talk about some of the best players from the Bo Ryan era. I kind of ranked my quick top 10, and I want your comments on this one. Bo Ryan, what's the case? Do you have a case against it? I tried to outline one, but I kind of think it's a no-brainer. When you look at the other people in the Hall of Fame, when you look at what he's done, when you look at the consistency, when you look at just the overall resume, Bo Ryan's a Hall of Famer. Let's get it done. Let's put him in. Let's do the right thing, committee. All right. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel remains the number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. Like if you want to go all in on if you think like you're ready for a Badger basketball resurgence, you want to do some futures on the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team coming up close to March. We've got 4 games left. FanDuel.com/lockedon would be the place to do it. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. When you place a $5 bet, it's as simple as that. Plus live in-game parlays, futures, teasers, spreads. It's all there. Bet on baseball's coming up. We're in spring training. Let's go. I love baseball. Let's get that going. Basketball, NBA. If you're a Bucks fan, whatever it is, take a look to this futures. Again, I'm probably looking at some Badgers futures. I don't know. I think the pendulum has swung too far with Badger fans negatively. I think this team could make a little bit of a surprise run. I'll probably put some futures action in on the college basketball team. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. Make your first bet lit. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NFL. All right. Let's see some comments here. So I haven't even had the comments up, and I apologize. Let's see. Tyler Streever says, let's go. What's up, Tyler? Okay, let's see. Jeff Olson, 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Yeah, like the dude should be in there. Let me give you the other reason why it needs to happen. Because I think eventually it's going to anyway. You want to honor people when they have the ability to be honored, right? How many Hall of Famers who had relatively obvious cases, they died before they got to the Hall, right? They didn't quite make it there because people, looking at resumes are like, I don't know, it's not quite perfect. Well, was it good enough? Was he a Hall of Famer? Then put him in so his family can celebrate with him while he's still here, right? And I thought, listen, Bo Ryan's a tough dude. That's a tough SOB. He might outlive me. But let's be honest, like the clock is ticking on all of us. You never know. If the guy has a Hall of Fame resume, stop the BS. What are we waiting for? Right? What are we waiting for? Do it while he's still here. Do it while he can go out there. He can give a speech. He can honor his players that helped him get there. Like, don't wait. Because eventually he's going to be in there anyway. I'm telling you, the resume is too strong. So do it while you can walk across that stage and make the speech, while you can enjoy the moment that he's deserved, that he's worked for, that he's coached for. He deserves to be in that hall, and he deserves to walk those halls while he's still here. So, again, I think it's a no-brainer. Not just because I'm a Wisconsin fan. Just look at the numbers, right? You stack him up against other coaches in the Hall of Fame currently. His resume stacks up with a lot of them. It's better than some of them. It's better than Gene Keady's. Gene Keady's a Hall of Famer. And I don't argue that Gene Keady should be in there. Gene Keady should be in there. Bo Ryan should have gotten there first, right? And I apologize for any Purdue fans listening to this, but Bo Ryan's got a better resume. He made it farther in March. By the way, Bo Ryan's career March record is 27-15. Gene Keady's 19-18. I mean, Bo Ryan's got a better resume. So if it walks like a Hall of Famer, talks like a Hall of Famer, it's probably a Hall of Famer. Let's get Bo Ryan in there. All right, I want to talk about my favorite players, my 10 best players from the Bo Ryan era. Get into some of your comments as well. Peter Jock said, I named my son Bo Ryan. Let's go. Bo Dragon said, before Bo, we had no chance against Blue Bloods. With Bo, we could beat anyone on any given night. Let's go, Bo. I agree. He was just such an elite coach. And he's a Hall of Fame coach. That's what he is. It's pretty obvious to me. All right, let's get into this one. These are my top 10 players from the Bo Ryan era. And I did this list kind of quickly, right? I looked at the players and was like, this feels right to me, but this is open to interpretation, man. This is just my list. It doesn't make it the right list. I want to see which of these you disagree with me on the ordering. All right, I'm going to start at number 10. By the way, the honorable mention. This is another reason, right? You want another reason why Bo Ryan should be in the Hall of Fame? Listen to some of these players. These are some of the honorable mention players. Ben Bruss, Josh Gosser, Trayvon Hughes, Marcus Landry, Michael Flowers, Brian Butch, Cam Taylor. Like, he had dudes on his team, right? He had absolute dudes on his team. All right, let's get into my list. Number 10, I got Bronson Koenig, big shot maker, just in a really unique point guard, obviously. Tons of winning, tons of big shots in big moments. An interesting player, more of a combo guard, but I got him at number 10. At number 9, I got Nigel Hayes. Nigel Hayes, to me, it's funny. I always feel like he is a very underrated Badger basketball player when I talk to fans. Because the first thing, whenever I talk to somebody who's watched a lot of Badger basketball, I mention Nigel Hayes, they say, yeah, his jump shot, he shouldn't have tweaked it. And I'm always like, my first thought is always like, you could play zone against the Badgers with Nigel. Like, you just could not play defensively a zone against Nigel. Nigel was brilliant. Nigel had the same type of passing acumen as like a Draymond Green does. I mean, he's not as big and he can't do the things defensively Draymond could. That's why Draymond's in the league and Nigel isn't. But like, you get the ball to Nigel in the short corner or at the elbow against the zone, and he just diced people up. Just absolutely diced people up. Incredible player for the Badgers. So I got him at number 9. Again, these are my top 10 players of the Bo Ryan era. At number 7, I have Alonzo Tucker. And statistically, should he be higher? Yeah, obviously. He was a first-round pick. I mean, one of the all-time great scorers, All-American. I just struggle with the post-Alonzo Tucker narrative, right? And I don't know where to put him, really. But he's still an all-time great Badger basketball player. There's no doubt about it. I have him at number 7 here. And number 6, I have Kirk Penny. Just such an incredible all-around player. Shooter, defender, intelligent, high IQ, total winner. He's one of the best out there that ever did it in the Bo Ryan era. Another player, if you're a little younger, you need to go back and look at some of what he did and some of his film. That's who I got at number 6. Number 5, I got John Lure. Right, so we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back with my top 5 players of the Bo Ryan era. But I've got to start with Bronson Koenig at 10, Nigel Hayes at 9, Alonzo Tucker at 8, Kirk Penny at 7, and John Lure at 6. I think I had John Lure at 6. Yeah, I think I might have flipped it. Lure his senior year averaged 18 points a game, like just incredible players. And again, you start thinking of these players, John Lure's and Kirk Penny's and Alonzo Tucker's. This is, again, why that's a Hall of Fame coach. Like, his ability to develop talent was incredible. And a lot of these players weren't the 5-star. None of these players were the 5-star players, right? He still developed them. They got better every single year. And that's because of the way he ran his program. That's because of the culture he built. Absolute Hall of Fame coach. All right, we're going to take one quick break, come back with my top 5 players to the Bo Ryan era and any other comments that y'all got. But I do want to take a quick second and say thank you guys so much for tuning in, for supporting the show. Just for everything you always do in the community, in the comments, in the chat, on the Discord, whatever it is. Again, thank you guys so much for helping us build this incredible community. It's because of you guys. All right, let's go. The top 5 players for me of the Bo Ryan era. And you guys tell me, I'm going to put the full list up here in a second. You guys tell me who I'm too high on, who I'm too low on. Number 5, I've got Michael Wilkinson. Mike Wilkinson, just, again, if you're a little younger, that dude was an all-everything player before we had an all-everything player. Really good shooter, rebounder, scorer, defender, one of the better defenders we've ever had. Very smart, major winner. I got him at number 5. Number 4, I got Sam Decker. Listen, we don't get past Arizona in those semifinal games without Sam Decker. He was just absolutely incredible. Sam Decker was, and you can argue certainly that a guy like Mike Wilkinson had a bigger impact overall to the program at his time at Wisconsin. But Decker gave you, he just showed you glimpses of what a 6'10" 5-star athlete looked like in Wisconsin. And we just had so little of that. And then the shots he made in March during those runs, that's why I got him at number 4. Obviously became a lottery pick as well. Or was he a lottery pick or was he mid-first? I forget. Going to Houston. It was either late lottery or mid-first. Number 3, I got Jordan Taylor. Maybe my favorite point guard I've ever watched play at Wisconsin. I'll do apologies to a whole bunch of guys, quite frankly. One of whom is still on this list, but just controlled the game. I'll never forget him going absolutely nuclear against Ohio State. Just unbelievable player. Number 2, I got Devin Harris. And then number 1, Got to go Frank the Tank. Let me put this list up here, and y'all tell me who I'm too high on, who I'm too low on, or if it's just right. But again, this is another argument. You look at this list. This is another argument why Bo Ryan is a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, Bronson Koenig, Nigel Hayes got a cup of coffee in the NBA. Tucker was a first-round pick. Lure carved out a pretty decent career in the NBA. Decker was a lottery pick. Taylor was an All-American. Devin Harris, obviously, like that resume speaks for itself. Frank Kaminsky was a lottery pick and a National Player of the Year. Like the talent he developed, by the way, from 3-star and 4-star guys, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So yes, Hall of Fame coach for all of the reasons we listed, right? You go back and you look at the record, how it matches up to other coaches. You look at the 700 plus wins. You look at the national titles. I don't care if it's at another level. You win a national title, that's a ring, right? You look at the player development. You look at the consistency, right? 14 straight years in the top 4. That's never going to be done again. That's, again, the analogy you draw to that is maybe the Patriots in the NFL with the AFC East and the Braves in Major League Baseball with the NL East. Those are the type of to be that consistent for that long. And by the way, a good basketball conference against other really good coaches during that era. Get out of here. Hall of Famer. Put him in. And finally, I said it before, but I want to reiterate it because I think this is an important one to me. Put him in while he's still here. Like, stop dragging the feet. The resume is good enough. What are you waiting for? Let's not kid ourselves here. If he had this resume at Kansas, he would have been in like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. If he had this resume at name the UCLA, name the blue blood college basketball program, right? I mean, shoot, if he had this resume at, I don't know, like it's just such an obvious thing. Put him in. All right, let's see what other comments we got here. Then we'll kind of wrap it up. Patrick Minahan says, I love Jordan Taylor. Yeah, absolutely love Jordan Taylor. Jordan Taylor was just the control of the game was incredible. Typically had about a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, averaged about 4.5 rebounds a game. Really good scorer, never forced things, rugged defender, never missed a game, never hurt, super durable. Has a great podcast too, Shot of Whiskey. I encourage everybody to go check that out. Really good Badger basketball talk. Tyler Strieber says, no Butch or Landry. There are my honorable mentions, but who on this list would you kick out? Like, Brian Butch isn't better than anybody on this list, in my opinion. This, again, only my opinion. Marcus Landry, talented small forward, good defender, could score inside pretty well. I don't think he's better than any of these guys. I don't. As my camera goes out of focus, let me see if I can fix that quick. It's the magic of HD. I apologize for everybody now seeing me in HD. I'm a better looking guy in 480p, not 1080. Mike Wilkins, Jan Volk said Mike Wilkinson was so good. Definitely one of my favorites. Such smooth, quick post moves, could shoot. Yeah, he could do everything. Defend, I mean, incredible defender, Wilkinson, right? Just incredible defender. Smart, always had great positioning, really tough. Loved him. Bo Dragon says, everybody knows Bo's the man. They just don't like his personality. Yeah, is it a personality thing with him? Because I think a lot of coaches have weird personalities, right? I kind of think, again, I mentioned this early, how it ended was a little weird. I do wonder if people look at that and it's not the cleanest exit, right? The optics of it weren't great. I mean, I think that's a silly reason. And I kind of wonder if he didn't win a title at D1 level, but again, you put Gene Keady in, he didn't want to win a title, so I don't know the problem is there. Scotty Sixpack says Sam Decker may be too high, doesn't have the individual accolades of some of the others. Yeah, I could definitely see Decker being too high in somebody's perspective. I have him there just because I think it represented, getting that elite in-state talent, a 5-star guy, and he gave you the performances in March, right, against Arizona and those shots he was hitting. I just don't think in Kentucky as well. I don't think we get to where we were without him. But from a Wisconsin, like, cumulative, what did you do for the program while you were here? He wouldn't be above Wilkinson. He wouldn't be above Tucker. He wouldn't be above Lure or Penny. So I think, it depends on what you look at. And there's no right or wrong list for sure. And Patrick says, no, Decker is 100% top 5. Yeah, I got him at 4. I think you definitely can make an argument for Wilkinson above him. I think you can make an argument for Lure ahead of him, probably. Tyler Strieber says, I'm too young to ever see Penny or Wilkinson play, so maybe you're right. Yeah, That was at the early part of my fandom. I almost need to go back, Tyler, and watch him again as well, just to kind of get a better perspective. But there's been some beasts in this program, and again, a lot of those players brought in, developed, recruited, coached by Bo Ryan, right? So we're gonna wrap up there. This is kind of just a pop-up show, but I really do appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Thank you guys so much. Let me know in comment section if you watch this later. How would you rank the top 10 players of the Bo Ryan era? But ultimately, this show is really just about Bo Ryan deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Bo Ryan is a Hall of Fame basketball coach. He has a better resume than other Hall of Fame basketball coaches. Stop the nonsense. Put him in the Hall of Fame, and put him in the Hall of Fame while he can still enjoy it. On Wisconsin, we'll talk later.